Holocult. We all know that the internet is not a safe place, especially when you're in our line of work. We're constantly looking up nefarious conspiracies, putting out FOIA requests, looking into dropped FBI files. That's why we here in the Holo Layer trust our ISP to ExpressVPN. I know most of you are probably thinking, why don't you just use incognito mode? Well, let me tell you something. Incognito mode does not hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browsing history. Your internet service provider can still see every single website you've ever visited. That's why even when we're at home, we never go online without using ExpressVPN.
That's right. We don't need any more of our information floating around out there. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP can't be seen with any of the sites you visit. ExpressVPN also keeps all your information secure by encrypting it 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption out there. ExpressVPN is also available on all of your devices, phones, computers, tablets, even your smart TVs. So there's no excuse as to why you should not be using something like this when it comes to protecting yourself and protecting your data.
Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Mashable. Visit our exclusive link, expressvpn.com/hollow1, and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/HOLO1, expressvpn.com/hollow1 to learn more. Sky Podcast, a listener experience edition. We are your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
It's Thursday, so you know what that means. You are here to hear all of your very own paranormal encounters. We appreciate everybody that sends these in. Have a good time going through them, talking about them, listening to them. We'll jump right into it after we get through the business. So check us out at all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Hollow Sky Podcast, and you'll find us there. Come be part of the community. Join the Hollow Cult. It's a good time. If you have a listener encounter you'd like to have featured on a future episode of this very show, Kyle's got some information you're going to want.
It's pretty easy. All you have to do is write your story out with as much detail as you possibly can, then shoot it over to the email, which is going to be hollowskypodcast@gmail.com. And then we'll be able to read your story and get it on the air.
Just like that. That being said, if you'd like to support the show, there's plenty of ways to do it. You can join our Patreon. Search up Hollow Sky Podcast over there and get early drops of shows, get ad-free shows, extra shows, exclusive songs from our AI side project, Casket Breath, and all that kind of good stuff. You can also head over to our store, hollowskypodcast.com. Go to the merch store, check out some of that goodness, buy some Hollow swag, rep the cult, and you can leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to these, because that's important to help get the show growing, keep it rolling word of mouth. From there, we're going to jump right in. Today's listener encounter, this week's listener encounter, I should say, comes to us from our friend Brittany. It's titled Voices and Other Oddities from a Nursing Home. Brittany says, "Hi guys, I love your podcast. Stumbled across the podcast when I was looking for something new to listen to. I've been binge listening while at work and when I commute. It makes me feel like I'm sitting with friends talking about crazy theories and oddities. I'm super glad you guys did this episode. It brought back several memories that I have of a similar experience. It's crazy that they can't explain why it happens, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that happened to. I had several stories that I would like to share with you guys. When I was in my late teens, I worked as a CNA at a nursing home. It was a rough job on the body and mentally as well. Anyway, I was a pool, which basically meant any shift they needed me for and any unit I was put in if there was a spot that needed to be filled. So I could work first shift one day and third shift another. I had a lot of unusual stuff that would happen to me on any shift that I work, but I sort of brushed it off mostly due to being overworked and understaffed. I happened to have a week where I was working the third shift in long-term care unit 1. There was 3 of us CNAs plus a nurse working that night. Most of the residents are sleeping, so there's not much to do. When we help the residents that need to go to the bathroom and turn those that need help. So you would get the occasional call light that would turn on. Whoever was assigned to the room, they would go check it out. Most of the night was spent walking the hallway to poke your head in on the residents and sit and wait until you were needed. We would use the TV in the unit lobby while we ate lunch since there really wasn't enough of us to go off the floor to the lunchroom in the basement. Basements are creepy, and the one at the nursing home had the creep factor up to about a 10 at night. One of the call lights went off at the end of the hallway that I was assigned to that night. My coworkers were slightly surprised, commenting that, "Isn't that room empty?" I didn't think much of it because I didn't know at the time that the resident that used to live in that room had passed earlier on in the day, and I got up to walk down to check it out. I was thinking maybe one of the residents got confused and wheeled themselves into the room, which isn't unusual as that's happened before. The nursing home residents were shared 2 to a room. Rarely did anyone have a private room. I was expecting someone to be in the room since the call light went off. To my surprise, there was no one in the room. The beds were stripped bare, and it was dark. I quickly turned on the light to be able to see without knocking my knees into things so I could turn off the call light. In order to turn off the call light, you need to press a button on the wall in the room. As I'm walking out, I faintly hear my name. Thinking it's one of my coworkers calling to me for assistance, I hurry down the hallway. I ask if any of them called my name, and they said no. I thought maybe they were messing with me since I was relatively new. Through the rest of the night, I thought I'd heard my name being called, and each time I would ask my coworkers, and they would tell me, "No, we're not, you're hearing things," which unnerved me. The next set of days I worked was the first shift. Let me tell you, I was very happy about that. More people, more noise, and hopefully nothing strange. Occasionally, I would hear my name being called, and no one was actually calling for me. I stopped acknowledging that it was happening because my coworkers were teasing me that it was the ghost kids trying to get my attention. Yes, I said ghost kids. Lots of odd things happened at the nursing home. Call lights going off when no one was there, things getting misplaced in strange places, and the residents would say stuff like, "Get these kids out of here." After visiting hours, people would hear voices of children laughing. When I first started there, I didn't know anything of the ghost stories that would go around. No one really talked about it unless something recently happened or directly was asked. The first week when I would pass the shower room, the call light would go off. I would go into the shower and try to turn it off, and it was basically like a light switch that you had to manually push up to turn off. It wouldn't turn off. I went to the unit nurse to ask her for help. I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong. She had me try while she was watching, and it would not turn off. She did it, and the light would turn off. It happened a few more times, and the nurse had to turn it off since it wouldn't turn off when I tried to do it. I asked the nurse about it, and she told me not to worry about it. One of the other CNAs brought up the subject of ghosts, so the nurse did end up telling me about the ghost children. She said that they, a boy and a girl, around 7 to 8 years old, enjoy pulling pranks. None of the pranks were harmful, just annoying. It bugged me because after my first month, it stopped. When the shower call light would turn on, I was able to get it shut off again. What she failed to tell me was about the other entity, the man in black. I do remember it was a spring day in my second year at the job when I learned of him. I walked into B's room to help her get up from her afternoon nap. She exclaimed, "Thank goodness you chased him away." Of course, I was confused since there was no one else in the room but her and I. I asked her who, and she told me the man in black was here, and he scared me. Thinking maybe she had had a bad dream from her nap, or possibly that someone was going around upsetting the residents, I went to the nurse to tell her about it. It was then she told me that usually when a resident would see the man in black, they would pass within a week. B did not pass within a week. However, we did have other residents who would speak of the man in black and would pass away within a week's time. I have other stories I'll have to type or call in. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. You guys are doing an awesome job with the podcast. Please keep it up. You have my permission to use this on the show. Sincerely, Brittany Lee. Brittany, first off, thanks so much for taking the time to type out these experiences and send them in to us. Secondly, again, as I've mentioned before on the show, I'm not sure when these were submitted, so I can't really refer back to the episode she's referring to in the beginning. But anyway, back to her experience. Nursing homes are weird. They're kind of creepy anyway. The whole idea is kind of, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if depressing's the word, but I don't know. They just have a weird vibe. I've had a lot of family that have ended up in living care facilities, and it definitely has a strange vibe about it.
I would agree with that. It's usually a little bit ominous at times, a little bit dark, even though the goal is obviously to not be that way because you want the best care for your loved ones, but they tend to, like you said, have that vibe to them. It's weird. All of your encounters are bizarre, but I would like to think that the first round goes to, and I can't, and I say this because this is what I want it to be. Hopefully all the people you hear calling your name are because you did a good job and they're still trying to call your name. That's kind of where my head went. The fact that it's little kids is really weird unless that place had a history elsewhere. Because usually little kids aren't good news.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah.
The whole children aspect of it.
Yeah, and the fact that some of the residents were saying get these kids out of here is bizarre.
Holocult. Summer is here. So you know what that means. Paranormal investigations and cryptid hunts abound. But before you do that, you're going to need some good clothing. So we're excited to announce another month partnering with Tecovas.
I feel like at this point, it's mandatory to have amazing clothes while you're out cryptid chasing or ghost hunting. Because with Tecovas, every boot you can expect handmade quality, first wear comfort, and timeless Western style. And nothing says like you're there for business, like walking in a pair of snakeskin boots. And with it being summer, like Steve said, they also have some sweet short sleeve moisture wicking pearl snaps that are definitely going to put you on the next level. And if you need to carry some stuff, like all your ghost hunting gear, you can use their ever-growing lineup of rugged and full-grain leather bags that are always going to get you where you need to be.
And to keep cool, they also have men's and women's straw hats. So you're definitely going to want to check them out.
That's perfect for keeping the sun off your head and getting sunburn up there.
The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas stores, where you'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop all the latest styles. I personally am waiting for the cryptid lineup, where I can get me a pair of like Loveland Frogman skin boots, maybe some Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, yeah. Imagine that Loch Ness boot.
Smooth. But until then, you can visit Tecovas.com. That's Tecovas.com. And don't go gently, y'all.
It clearly sounds like, well, it pretty much sounds like the residents are seeing the Grim Reaper. if they're seeing the man in black and then within a week they pass most of the time. However, your case didn't because supposedly you scared the Grim Reaper away or the man in black. So, maybe pat yourself on the back for that one.
Yeah, it's strange anyway. I think there's a stigma about nursing homes anyway because it's kind of like essentially an end of life facility. So
Yeah.
usually people that go into nursing homes don't come out. So there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of probably spiritual residue contained within the walls of those buildings since so many people are passing on. And there's a lot, I mean, on one hand there are a lot of good people who make sure that people in the nursing homes um, experience the best kind of care that they could ask for there. But on the other hand, like the other end of that, there is a lot of emotional trauma and sadness that go with having your loved ones being at the end of their life. You kind of know when it gets to that point that your time is very limited. So I feel like a lot of emotional residue is a good word. Is probably left over.
Yeah.
A lot of sadness, and that probably not only like kind of residually hangs out in that geographical space, but that sadness and trauma could possibly also kind of attract other entities or beings to that location.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. The fact that it would attract, not to mention it's constantly amplifying all the past residue being amplified over and over again because it's just a endless cycle of sadness essentially.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't stop. It never stops.
it doesn't feel the encounters that you shared don't feel very nefarious.
No.
More playful. I mean, the man in black is weird, especially that it's tied close to death. But the other stuff, like the lights flipping on and the calling of your name, kind of seems it almost feels more playful than it does nefarious. And I'm curious more about the kids. If people have did people see like the child entities? I wonder how people attributed them to being children. I know they said the residents seen them, but I wonder if the actual caretakers, the nurses, and the CNAs have seen them there.
Yeah, because like I said, outside of it being something where kids would have been, uh, usually seeing kids is not a good sign, or experiencing children in the paranormal is usually not a good sign.
Yeah, you hear a lot of evil and nefarious entities like to kind of take on the persona of a childlike entity.
But you almost don't feel like it's that way because, at least per the words that were written, the residents are just like, get these damn kids out of here, like they're being a nuisance.
Yeah, yeah,
Not like this big fearful thing. It's just more of a nuisance.
that's definitely how I kind of took it into. The only thing that sounded like they was something there that they really particularly didn't want there was whatever this man in black entity is. Which when we did the death encounter um episode, you definitely see a lot of different type entities equated to the possible Grim Reaper death.
Yeah.
I like that you brought that up and kind of made the connection there.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, that just kind of fits the bill for me because it's right there. It's blatant. It's a being all black, and within a week they pass. Except for this one case where she says you scared him away or whatever it was, which is also weird because I don't picture the Grim Reaper being afraid of a person.
Oh, it makes you feel like she almost, instead of being like afraid, like she interrupted
Yeah,
some sort of ritual or something like Final Destination shit,
yeah,
this was supposed to happen but you interrupted. It's interesting. I'm curious to if you listen to this, Brittany, curious as to if anyone else had any experiences there, which I know they did because they kind of, whenever you bring it up, they kind of talk about it. But I'm wondering if you had, like specifically you had more experiences than anyone else.
I also wouldn't take what they say with too much weight. A lot of people try to find humor in those types of situations because they're freaked out and they don't want to admit it, so they start joking around and being dumb about it to kind of convince themselves this isn't real.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, you do have to take it with a grain of salt, especially if it's your coworkers and there's camaraderie, or like you see that a lot of times with people who don't buy into the paranormal. If you have somebody that does and they're experiencing things, a lot of times they'll try to feed into that as kind of like, haha, these people will believe anything.
Yeah, but you can't argue the facts whenever multiple residents have seen a man in black. Multiple residents have said, "Hey, get these kids out of here."
Yeah.
I mean, come on. After a hot minute, you got to start going, what is going like?
Something's up.
What is going on? Especially if you have a time frame thing where Steve's in the retirement home, he passes, and then I go in the retirement home, and we both witness and experience the same things, but we're not connected in any way, shape, or form. There's no communication. There's no nothing.
Yeah,
that's where it gets even weirder.
It is weird. And you hear a lot of times people within their final few days, final few hours of them seeing angels essentially, or family members that have passed, or people that they've known that aren't there in that actual physical realm, which kind of brings up the question, if their energy is there, is it possible for that energy to be trapped into that geographical location, the walls of that nursing home, which would explain the children that are there. You know, say you have an elderly person that's going to pass, and maybe they lost a brother and sister when they were young or something, and that energy comes to kind of welcome them on, but it gets stuck in,
maybe,
which is kind of a sad thing to think about.
Yeah.
But we don't know how it works when we die, so
no, not yet. And hopefully no time soon for any of us.
Yeah, I feel that. It's an interesting story. Definitely hit us up with some more of your encounters here. I'm curious, and if you have any of your coworkers' experiences filed away, it would be interesting to compile them. And like Kyle said, also if the building was used as something beforehand that does have something to do with children, that would be an interesting little aspect to kind of confirm or debunk as well.
Yeah, because if it was like, say, a school, maybe it's all just residual.
Yeah, or like an orphanage or a children's hospital.
Yeah, anything to deal with children, maybe it's residual. If it's a hospital or something like that, well, maybe it's their, soul being trapped there. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're just there to kind of keep things interesting for the old patient,
Hey, as long as it's that and it's nothing nefarious. Well,
we're here for it. We're here for the good ghosts, not the evil ones that just want to stir up shit. But yeah, definitely hit us back. We appreciate you taking the time to send this in, Brittany. Very interesting. A lot of times I feel like nursing homes are kind of left out of the mix of places. Like you always hear about hospitals, you always hear about like asylums, you always hear about nursing, or not nursing homes, but what's the word I'm looking for? Funeral homes and stuff like that. But nursing homes is kind of left out of the spookiness that I've noticed here with people sending in stuff, which you'd think it'd be a prime aspect, since there is so much end of life going on there, so much I don't know what the word is, spiritual transformation. It's interesting. But yeah, if you hear this, if you're still hanging out, again, I don't know when this was submitted. Like I said, I just kind of go through and pop them over into a file as we go. If you're still listening, still hanging out with us, definitely hit us back up and see what other kind of weirdness took place here. But again, thank you for taking the time to send it in. Check us out at all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Hollow Sky Podcast. Join the Hollow Cult. Be part of the community. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay weird, and keep sending those paranormal experiences in. Keep talking about them.